Hi, good morning. Welcome to my shop. Today I'm going to be working on this turntable. It's a Technics SL-B202 frequency generator servo automatic turntable. How's that for a mouthful? That's what it says right here. The couple of problems with this turntable. Needs a new cartridge. Okay, I've got one. Needs a new belt. I've got one. Needs a new motor. Oh my, what the heck. Yes, I've acquired a belt and a cartridge for a turntable that appears to have a serious motor problem. And that's what I'm going to spend a little bit of time on. If I really can't resolve this motor problem, it's going to be pretty questionable whether I should bother with the belt and the cartridge. And what is the motor problem? Listen carefully. That's the motor problem. That sound. I say, oh, that's the belt slipping. Well, we're going to figure that one out right away. So the belt that's in here is so loose that it doesn't drive the, it's the wrong size belt. It doesn't drive the platter. So we're going to pull the platter off. Hopefully it'll come off easy. Oh, easy as can be. Here's the old belt of the wrong size. And now, without the platter and the belt, what's this guy sound like? So it's clearly the motor we're hearing. Wouldn't it just be lubrication? Oh my gosh, you can hear it just turning it by hand. So if I lift it up, the sound is gone. I think the rotor's too low in the motor. A simple matter of just turning the whole record player upside down and using it that way. So a lot of these motors, the rotor is not in its operating position when the power's off. When you turn the power on, the rotor is going to lift just a touch or be just slightly different in position. What do you do about that? I'm assuming that's coming across on the microphone. Can we get access to the bottom of the... let's take this off before we damage it. Can we get access to this motor underneath? I think so. Oh, it must be. If it's not that, then there's no way. This is as light as a feather. Holy smokes. There's nothing in this. Light as can be. Motor's right over here. Let's take the bottom off and see what we can find inside there. Okay, screws are out. Some interesting stuff. There's something poking through here, or it's attached to the bottom here, and there's something here, and then there's this plastic plate here. We'll see when I lift this. Right off. Some kind of an opening gives you access to the gear system. You can see really what's happened here is after years of making record players, engineers figured out how to do it with almost nothing. Almost nothing in here. Just some thin rods. The lubrication needs a little help. Motor control circuit, the motor itself. Oh boy. So here's some motor, what I assume maybe is holding the bracket that goes over the motor, I noticed. This motor, maybe it's integral to this board or something? Danger, high voltage. Did I unplug this? Let me just be absolutely sure. Oh. Danger Jim. Okay, now it's unplugged. So I've never really worked on something like this. Let me move the motor. So I'm moving the motor rotor up and down. This white piece is not moving here. I also notice the motor is, I'm pulling it down and it's popping back up. So it must be the magnets in there that are pulling it up, I guess, maybe, I don't know. Well, it would have to be a magnet, I guess. What else could it be? What to do about this? Throw a pile of lubrication down in there and hope it does something. What is that sound? That's got to be a bearing rubbing sound. If I blast this with WD-40 or something like that, am I going to damage this? It's noisy enough you really can't play this record player the way it is. Well, it seems like the most sensible thing to do is just to blast some lubricant down in there and cross your fingers and hope it hope it gets to where it needs to get to. Could that damage something? I don't think so. I just don't think so. What about dripping oil instead of WD-40? WD-40 or oil. I'm going to blast it. I'm going to blast it here. This might be the end of this record player right here. Before I do that, is there a way to get up under it here? Motor looks like it's set, of course, right tight to the board. There's no gaps in it. There. And what I'm guessing is I can't separate the board from the motor. Then, in fact, the motor may even be soldered into here. Looks like there's a chip here on the other side of the board, right under the motor. Who knows what's going on there? I don't have any experience with this stuff. Oh, she's a blasted. Lots. Okay, turn the wheel a little bit here. Now, turn it upside down. I don't have a lot of faith that this is going to work out. I don't. Okay, well, we're just going to carry on and blast it down this way now. Putting in an excessive amount. Purpose. I'm going to rotate this in various angles. You would think if you can get lubricant into the area that's chafing, that it's going to quiet it down. Doesn't sound like it's quieting down at all. Can we operate it like this? Sure, why not? Why not? Sound any better? Oh, the arm went back. Just listening for changes in the sound. There is none. While I rotate this. Just a little quieter. Not really. I'd say it's a wee bit quieter. Huh. If I let it run for a long time like this, how would that help? Because conceivably some kind of dust or dirt has gotten in there. That's not very likely. More oil. God, I put a lot in there already. It's definitely like a lower bearing. We try a little heavier oil. Again, I'll just be liberal with it here. I'm going to get it on the belt thing. That's lots of oil going in there. Spraying out. Sound any different? Just lift it a little bit, the sound disappears. It's really, you know, there's a magnetic pull or something really pulling it down quite hard. Okay, don't forget it's plugged in. No idea if that oil can make it to the bearing in there in the motor. Just sticking it on like that. Think about it a little bit. Okay, so I've been reading up on the internet. This isn't the only noisy record player of this sort with this kind of motor noise. And the most detailed paragraph I could find on what to do about it, it's not very encouraging. There's an awful lot of steps to removing the motor, taking the motor apart. And in the middle of that description, the person mentions the brushes. Brushes? There's brushes in this motor? Because that sure is what it sounds like. It sounds like worn out brushes. That's what it sounds like to me. And you can't correct that without changing the brushes. The brushes are, you know, in a typical motor that uses brushes, they're little carbon rods, if you like, with springs pushing them up against the rotor. Is that what's in this motor? It's a brushed motor? So at this point, my thinking is, no, this is beyond salvaging. This isn't a record player worth salvaging. In fact, it's really nothing special about it. But I have a belt and a cartridge. Okay, I'll stop and think some more. Maybe go outside. The sun is shining again today. Okay, I think I got a decision-making plan here. So first of all, make a very good assessment of how noisy this is. Is it really so noisy that it's not usable? After that assessment, if I decide it's just too noisy to be used, and I'm not about to use it, by the way, I've got other turntables that are just fine, and I don't need this one. But I would like to sell this off. I can't really sell it off, even for $50 or something. I can't sell it off if the motor is so noisy. If I decide the motor is too noisy, then I have a couple options here. One is, well, forsake the record player, take it apart, find out how it's put together, ruin this one because another one's coming. Find out for sure what was making the noise here and if it's repairable. Is it really brushes in the motor? I don't know how you do these kinds of things, but do something. And basically turn this into a learning journey and then toss it out, put my belt away and keep the cartridge for another turntable another day. I guess the value of this turntable, if it were perfectly operating, which it seems to be except for the noise it makes, would be in the $150 range, I would think. You can get somebody to pay $150 for it, especially a new cartridge and a new belt. Yeah, you should be able to get there. That's my thinking. Okay, so the first stage is to assess the sound for real. Is this really too noisy? I'm going to have to stick the bottom on it. I won't screw it on, but I'll just stick it on because that's part of the picture here. Again, I'm just surprised when you open these modern ones up. Calling this modern, by the way, how little metal there is in it. This thing in particular is incredibly light. It's about the lightest record player I've ever handled. I should probably put the platter on and put the belt on and make it run real with everything. And then I'll find out if I have the right belt too. There's a trick to putting these belts on, by the way, to make it easy to put on. There we are. It's been in the bag a long time, I think. So the way we do this is we place the belt around the big thing here. This belt seems way too small. This seems just way too small. Okay, belt is on. Wow, that's really tight. That just doesn't seem right to me. Okay, now we take one of these large gaps here. Pull the belt off. Stick the finger like this. That's the trick. That is the trick. No way that's going to slip, but wow, that's pretty tight. It won't make the motor quieter. Okay, now we'll do the, we need to do everything here. Put this on too. Now for you listening, at home watching this video, how you're going to judge this, I don't know. So it's going to be me who does the judgment here. What are the chances that I'm assessing this wrong? There's a sort of a clicking sound in the motor noise. Very, very rapid clicking. And to me, what I imagine is these brush contacts are spinning around the center shaft of the motor, and they're bumping into the brushes. And that's what we're hearing. We're hearing brush noise. You could hit that with lubricant if you can get it right on the brushes, and it would probably quiet it down a little bit. And sticking oil on the brushes, maybe not the best idea. There's a little bit of sparking in there. I don't know about this motor, but most motors have a little bit of sparking where the brushes are, and that sparking is going to slowly chemically act on the oil if you get it in there, and it's going to turn it into something. It sounds a little quieter, my imagination. Okay, now these guys come with tops. I don't think this is the correct top. This is a Pioneer top. I think it's a little bit too small, but this will block some of the sound. Okay, so I'm standing back about a foot and a half. Still hear it. I guess I'm 3 feet away now. I can still hear it. Now, lots of things make little noises when they operate like this. A lot of sound stuff, things have hums, and other things are going on that you don't want, but you'll only hear them under these kinds of circumstances where you're listening for it. So I don't have any record playing, I don't have any music going. If we had some music going in here, would we hear this? How about that? Where's the music? No music on that radio. Wow. Wreck this thing to try to fix it, or throw a cartridge on it, sell it as is. Now, who's going to buy? I mean, I'm not I'm not in a rush to sell anything. I just imagine I'll be doing a yard sale at some point this summer and get rid of a bunch of stuff, including this. Son of a gun. It's just right on the edge of you know what I have to do? I have to take this record player, hook it up to my stereo, my real stereo, play a record, and see if this noise is that annoying. Maybe it's not. So, if I'm going to give this record player a test, I've got to put this cartridge on it. The original cartridge is missing its needle, and rather than try to get a new needle, I've got a whole new cartridge here. Certainly it'll go in. Better go in that way. Pretty similar. Okay, so I'm going to install that cartridge in this, get the wires right, and we're going to try it here first in the shop through the video sound system. So if we're going to pull the wires off the original cartridge, first thing to do is to see that red and white are up at the top here. They're probably the signal wires. That's a normal thing. I should have left the cartridge screwed in before I did this. So I put my thumb here, I take the tool, I lever it against my thumb. Okay, to pull these off with great control. So you're not snapping them off and then, you know, ripping the wires off. These are coming off really easy. So red and white are the signal lines, pretty sure. Wow, it's really... It's a metal piece there. Oops. Oh, that's holding this. It's actually interfering a little bit with the cartridge going in. Not enough to worry about. See if we can use the same screws. Looks like the answer is no. There we go. Now it's settled right in. Yikes. What kind of a... Huh. Jeepers, you gotta use an Allen key on that. Arr. Really? Allen key. Very tiny one. Oh boy. That's it. It's a bent Allen key. That's it. Believe it or not, it's that easy. Very hard sometimes to get the nuts back on. Yesterday here was the windiest day I've experienced living in this house. I've been here 7 years. Today was easily the windiest day. It's actually quite scary watching there's big trees. Our neighbors have big trees. Watching them bend in the wind. Wow. And I've got some old trees on my property that we are concerned are going to keel over at some point, because they're right at the end of their lives. A certain amount of luck involved in getting this to start. Certainly lucky on the other side. Okay, if I draw the screw down, the nut may sit flat. No, it's not going to. I'm really counting on luck here. Almost got it. This wouldn't be so tough if we had 3 hands. This would be easy. Okay, I have to get my 3rd hand here. Was the screw falling just now? Of course. Down there on the floor. Yeah, this is an odd shape here. Oop. Don't need a lot of grip. Okay, little screw. Where did it go? Right here. Take this. Doing this right out over the floor. It's not the best idea. Doesn't sit on here very good. There it goes. Okay, well you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna carry on here and get this together. Okay, just attaching the wires now. So I'll be playing this. So red and white are left and right, or right and left. I don't know which way is which. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Not to me. Put all these wires on. Very good. So I have this hooked up to the sound system that I use to make videos. So it's not going out of speakers. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear it sort of straight through, if you like. Just make sure that's not too tangled. And we're plugged in. So one issue here is the ground wire. Here's the ground wire. And I'm going to make temporary connections over here. So first, without playing it, we're going to listen. Here it comes. Ooh, that's a hummer. Let me ground this and see what happens. The hum goes almost to nothing. So what I'm doing is I'm grounding this back into my stereo, into my sound system. Now, what exactly am I grounding? I believe when I ground this, I'm grounding all the uninvolved metal in this player that is not associated with the signal coming from the cartridge, but yet can pick up a hum and get it into the cartridge. Okay, so I'm going to clip this ground on. Let's listen to this while we do it. There we go. Okay, turn it up. Okay, so you get it way up, there's a hum. And this is the sound coming out of the microphones. So you see there's a lot of noise in my shop. My computer's running, it's got cooling fans, stuff like that. So I'm going to cut the microphone while we do this test. How are we set here? I think we're all set. Set. Okay. Down on the mics. Well, I'll leave them up for a minute. Up on the cartridge volume. A little test here with the finger. Oh yeah, it's there. Okay, microphone's down, and we'll test this record player. Works good. Sounds very good. Let's try another. You know, I'm getting to like this record. So, friends of mine made this. Okay, here we go.
Sometimes I go watch a band play.
Okay, what's left now? Because actually, well, I'm wearing headphones and listening to this, you could care less if the motor's making a little bit of sound. Wouldn't matter a bit. So the next stage on here is to hook this up to a real stereo and actually play it and experience it for what it is. We should take a look at the weight here before I go much further, because I really didn't pay attention. I can turn this off now. I can only turn it off by unplugging it. Okay. So first we want to balance this. We're going to set this. It's on 0 now, and we'll see. That's definitely not 0. Okay, so we're going to slide this back. Oh, too far. This may not work out well. So okay, we're going to do it a different way. We're going to turn it back. Wow, it's going to go way back. Guess what? Just so happens the 0 mark on here pretty much zeroes it here. Pretty close. Okay, so now we'll add weight. 0.5 gram, 1 gram, 1.5 grams. That's probably much better. Weight, I don't have, this cartridge came with 0 information about it. So we're guessing 1.5 grams would be good on there. And then the anti-skate adjustment here. So the idea is to set this to, there's a little plastic arrow, you can hardly see it. So that would be 0. You set it to the same setting, so 1.5. So we set this to 1.5 here. That's usually how these work. Without looking at the instructions and that's probably the deal. Okay. You know, in terms of the actual operation of the record player, aside from the motor noise, this is a real thumbs up deal here. New belt, new cartridge. Old music. Okay, I'm going to try this on my own stereo, or try, you know what? I've got a stereo in here. Yeah, I got an idea. Okay, I think I got a setup here that's going to work. So the idea is to play the record player through some speakers here in my shop. But actually, they're not going to be here in my shop. The speakers are in 2 rooms that are right next door to my shop. That's my laundry room and a washroom, which they have ceiling speakers. I'm going to drive those speakers using my post-college stereo. As soon as I got a job, I bought a stereo, and I still have it. We still use it. It's the stereo we use to play music through those ceiling speakers. So here's the deal. Let me get this going. You won't hear anything just yet. Okay, so I'm going to end up showing you a little bit of my shop that I never ever show because there's no reason to. This. This part here. Okay, now I trust the sound is good. Okay. This is my college speaker. I have done nothing to this. This is my college stereo. I've done nothing to this for all the years I have it. The lights don't work, but it plays fine. Speaker selector switch here. It's selected to A and B. The A speakers are in that room. You see the laundry stuff. I'm not going to bother showing you my washroom, but it's actually on just on the other side of this wall over here. We're just going to let that sound come into the shop here. Just move the camera back a little bit. And you're going to listen to it on microphones. Right now I've got three microphones going, one of which is stereo. How's that for confusing? Okay, and I've got a long cord coming from the record player straight into the phono inputs on here. You have to use this kind of vintage amplifier to work with a record player like that, a turntable like that. Newer equipment, much newer equipment. This is from 1978, I believe. Newer equipment, say from the 90s, doesn't even have a phono input. So, okay, here we go. Enough talking. What do we hear? So, well, what I'm trying to find out now is if I were listening to a record playing in a room with this record player, with this motor noise bother me. That's what we're after. Okay, so I'm able to do that myself. I'm not sure you can, watching the video. Let's try a different song here. Beautiful. Look at that. And the answer is, well, if I think about it, yeah, I can hear this. But more than this, I can hear the fans on my computer running. And if I try, I can listen to those things while the music's playing. But it's very easy to listen to the music and not hear these sounds. So I think it's a rather minor thing, the noise coming from the motor. Now, is it going to get worse over time? Can't imagine it getting better. How long is it going to last? Who knows? That's the bottom line on that. But for now, fairly nice sounding cartridge. There's nothing spectacular about it. It is a moving magnet cartridge, and it's playing through ceiling speakers in here. I mean, those aren't particularly wonderful either. So, but all in all, pretty good. Thanks a lot for watching, and tomorrow I think I'll probably get back to the console that I've been working on. So thanks a lot for watching.